Today we're going to show you how to make a tornado cheese twist.
With no oil and make your own cheese.
So don't go away, we'll be right back. Hi, welcome to Food for Thought. My name is Audrey, and these are my two sisters, Trishonna and Emberly. We're the Benton Sisters.
Did you know that the Bible talked about men eating angels' food? You can find this in Psalms 78 verses 25, and it says, men ate angels' food, God sent to them food to their full. And then you read up a little higher, like on 23, and said, yet he commanded them that the clouds above to open the doors of heaven, and it rained down manna for them to eat. And he gave them the bread of heaven. Today, we're going to show you a lot of bread recipes. Not quite like angels' food, but wouldn't that be neat if we could eat angels' food someday? Mm-hmm. All the perfect ingredients you need for human health would be in that manna. Today, what are some recipes that we're going to be sharing, Emberly?
Well, first, we'd like to show you how to make an oil-free sprouted wheat bread. And I'll read the ingredients off for you. You'll need 1 cup of wheat berries, 2 tablespoons of dry active yeast, 2 3/4 cup of warm potato water, 1 tablespoon of salt, 1/3 cup of honey, and 6 cups of whole wheat flour. Okay, so how do we do this, Emberly? Well, right over here I have our sprouted wheat. I just took the dry wheat and I soaked it overnight in enough water to cover. And then I drained it off the next day, and then I just let it sit in a dark place until it started sprouting. You can kind of see it's sprouting a little bit here.
Yeah,
now, you don't want the little sprouts too long, otherwise it just doesn't work out good in the bread. So you just want it barely sprouted. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and dump this into the blender, and that's 1 cup of dry wheat sprouted. I'm going to add this to the blender, and then we're going to use potato water in place of oil. What's potato water, Emberly? Okay, you know when you make mashed potatoes, or if you're making
potato salad.
Put this over here. Potato salad. Well, you usually drain off the water. Well, you save the water from your potato salad or mashed potatoes, and you can make bread with it. You know, if you don't have any, if you don't want to make any potato salad or mashed potatoes, you can also take 1 whole potato, and you can chop it up in a little bit of water and cook it on the stove, and then take the whole potato, water and all, blend it up, and pour that into your bread, and that works just as good, and it's really delicious. Okay. So
Okay.
do we need water in here to blend this? Yeah, we're going to go ahead and add our water, and we need 2 cups and 2/3 cup of water. And this is your potato water, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if you aren't making anything ahead of time, can you just boil a potato with water and get the water that way? Right. Okay. All right, we'll blend it now. Okay, and we need 3/4. Let me just add the rest of it. Okay. I got some potatoes in the bottom here. You can go ahead and add the potatoes too if you want. It doesn't matter, but we have enough water in there for now. All right. So this is to replace the oil. So this is a no-oil bread recipe we're making for you. Do you need this very smooth? The reason why we like to use potato water is because potato water has natural oil in it that's really good. You know, when you make, when you eat a russet potato or a red potato, you notice the red potatoes have more of a natural oil to them. They're usually
not as dry.
fluffier. They're not as dry. So if you use red potatoes, that's even better. So
that would really taste good.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead and blend it. Okay, do we blend this until it's smooth, or how much? You just blend it until it's chopped up a little bit. All right. Besides, you're probably wondering, well, why no oil? What's wrong with oil?
Well, a lot of people want to leave oil out of their diet because, just another reason for why having all that extra fat. We don't need it. We get plenty of fat from the natural foods.
Besides, you said on another program, it takes, 14 ears of corn to make
1 tablespoon of corn oil.
And that's highly refined.
And if you can get the natural fat from natural products like your potatoes, why not? Better off that way.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and add this. Now your potato water, you want your potato water to be warm. And you just want to blend it up until your wheat kind of looks like cracked wheat. And we might have been able to blend it up a little bit more, but you don't want it completely blended, just enough to have the wheat berries chopped up a little bit.
Okay.
So make sure your potato water is warm, make sure it's not really hot. And if it's too hot to touch, that means it's going to kill your yeast. So you just want it warm.
Okay.
And then what I like to use is Red Star dry active yeast, and this is what it looks like. And you should be able to find it in most grocery stores. And
you keep that in the freezer to keep it fresh, right?
Yes, like stored in the freezer.
Okay.
You know, sometimes I've seen people, they take their yeast, you know, and they soak it in warm water with a little bit of sweetener and get it to bubble and let it stand for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, to see if it works.
Well,
Test it.
But this yeast, you don't have to prep your yeast or whatever you want to call it and let it stand for 10 minutes and let it bubble up. Because this yeast works good every time. So you just dump it in and you don't have to worry about it letting it bubble.
Oh, that's nice. Save the step.
So you're just pouring it in here?
And it works every time. I always dump it in.
Where's our lid? We need our lid.
And then we need some flour for this. I have 2 different types of flour right here. I mean, this is grain wheat berries. And one's a dark wheat berry and one's a light wheat berry. And
You'd almost think the glass was tinted.
I don't know if you can
a slight
tell.
difference.
But this one's a little bit darker than this one. So, and this one I like is white winter wheat is what I like to use instead of Red Star. I mean, instead of, this is the red hard wheat. White winter wheat gives it a nice lighter looking flour, and so it looks like I added a whole bunch of white flour to it. So I like the lighter looking flour. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and we're going to show you how to mill your wheat. And I like to mill my wheat because who knows how long the wheat has been sitting on the shelf at the store, getting all aged and rancid and aged and oxidized. And so, besides, you know, when you...
It has a much better flavor. It's so much...
Makes your bread nicer and has...
sweet, nutty flavor.
When it's been sitting on the shelf at the store, it loses a lot of its nutrients. So you can mill wheat, all different grains that you want to use, you can mill it up. This is really nice. So I'm going to show you how this works. We're going to turn it on and dump it in. And in this canister, I have flour already in here, and we're going to go ahead and turn this on and add our 6 cups of flour.
That machine is much quieter than some of the other machines we've had.
Let it mix up. Let's see, let it mix up a little bit more. When it starts to clean the sides of the bowl, then you notice you added enough flour to it. And what I usually do is let it knead for 10 minutes so that way you can get the gluten all worked up there so that way it'll make some good dough. And then that's it. It's so easy. And you know, and you put the buzzer on for 10 minutes and let this knead, and then you have time to clean up all your mess, you know, all your ingredients put them away. By the time you get all your ingredients put away, your bread will be ready to make something with it. So, I think we can go ahead and turn it off.
You can see that the bowl is nice and clean.
Let me get this off here. Let you see. See how the bowl gets clean? Now you can see flour on the dough. It needs to be mixed a little bit better. And then you just, that's it. You just let it knead for
10 minutes.
10 minutes. And, you know, fill the dough a little bit. And if it sticks to your fingers, it means you want to add a little bit more flour. And if it doesn't stick to your fingers, it means it feels good.
Okay.
I mean, it's perfect. And if you make 100% whole wheat, you want to add probably 1/3 of a cup of flour to it.
Gluten?
Gluten flour, yeah.
You have some already made up for us, don't you, Emberly? That we can
And you
show.
can also cut this recipe in half, and you can use it in your
Bread machine?
bread machine.
That would be nice. A lot of people
So-
have bread machines, and that would be convenient.
You know those bread machines that make one loaf at a time?
So how many loaves does this make again?
Okay, this recipe makes 2 loaves, and you can also double this recipe and make 4 loaves.
And make it in the Bosch as well?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's
that's
so
nice.
much faster using one electric mixer, and this is my favorite mixer, that's one I like to use. And so
Okay,
you
you
just
done with this?
roll it out, and I'll show you some bread that we have right over here. And here's some bread I made up ahead of time. And this is a sprouted wheat bread. And I'll just cut you a slice to let you see what it looks like. And how I formed it on the top, I just formed my dough and then just cut it like this, and then it just baked like that. And that's a fun way to
Very attractive.
make your loaf look pretty.
Well, wheat is a very nutritious grain. It's high in protein and B-complex vitamins, iron,
So-
calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. So wheat is very nutritious, and how good it is, nice it is to have fresh bread.
So there you can have some nice, nutritious sprouted wheat bread. And we have another recipe we want to read off for you. And this is called, it's also a oil-free bread recipe. And you'll need 2 tablespoons of dry active yeast, 2 3/4 cup of hot potato water, 1 tablespoon of salt, 3/4 cup of, 1/3 of a cup of honey, and 6 cups of whole wheat flour. So we already have our dough pre-made here, and you make it the same way you make the first one, except for it's just a basic dough recipe.
And this is already raised, right?
We'll just go ahead and take off the saran wrap. And to get the saran wrap not to stick, you can also spray the saran wrap with a little bit of non-stick spray, so it won't stick to your counter there. And we're going to go ahead and divide this dough in half, and we're going to spray our counter with some non-stick spray. And, you know, you can also put a little bit of flour down and do it that way. But this recipe, look how nice it feels. It has all the flour it needs in it, so you don't have to put flour down again. And so just to keep it from sticking, we're just going to spray it down. And you want to go ahead and roll it out?
Okay.
And we'll just roll it out the length of this platter.
Trishonna, don't you have something about bread?
Well,
That's
I
really
wanted
good.
to share something about the different grains.
Yeah.
I have this little batch of vials here. It's amazing. Here we have the whole grain of wheat, and what commercial products, they take and separate these out, and this would be the millings, take the outside layer, and they feed these to cattle. And then we have in this file the wheat bran, which we put into cereals like your bran flakes for extra fiber. And then we have wheat germ, which they put in different, actually health people who are interested in more health, they eat them, sprinkle them on your cereal. And then the next one is the oil. They separate out the oil and they sell this to cosmetics departments, put in your makeup or in your shampoo or lotions or stuff like that. And then what you have is white flour left. And then we eat a lot of white flour and the different things that you buy at the store. In fact, if you don't read the label at the ingredients label on the back of your loaf of bread, you'd be surprised. Even though it says 100% whole wheat on the front, usually isn't 100% whole wheat.
It will call it wheat flour instead of whole wheat flour.
Exactly. It will say 100% whole wheat because that's what it was used. They didn't use oat flour or barley flour. They used 100% whole wheat. But that doesn't mean it's 100% whole grain flour. It can be derived out, and when it says enriched, that means they took about, all the 18 vitamins and minerals out and put 4 back in and called that enriched. And if someone stole $18 from your wallet and then gave you $4 back, would you feel enriched? I wouldn't. I feel still robbed. And so that's what we are essentially doing if we're not eating the whole grain. And why not have all these grain, all the different elements in this grain in your diet and benefit and separate them out and then having them added separately? Why use cosmetics with the oil in your diet on topically when you can have it naturally in the nut and get it to make your skin soft and your hair shiny? And because vitamin E is another important part in the grain, and we separate that out and then we have it added topically instead of having it internally, which would be much better beneficial for our health.
Here's the dough that we've been rolling now, and that looks like the right size. Now let's go ahead and read off the ingredients. This is called a sun-dried tornado cheese twist, and you'll need a half of a batch of oil-free bread dough, which we already have, 3 cups of cheddar cheese, 2 cups of sun-dried tomatoes, seasoned with olive oil, 4 cloves of garlic sliced, 1 can of artichokes, vinegar-free, 1 small red or green bell pepper diced.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
So the kind of sun-dried tomatoes that we like to get are the kind that are seasoned with olive oil instead of vinegar. And then we'd like to just drain all that oil off of there, and you can even rinse the oil off too. And so we can go ahead and also we have cheese here that I'm going to grate real quick for you. And this cheese we made ourselves, and you can make it. And if you want the recipe for this cheese, just call 3ABN and they'll be happy to give you the recipe for that cheese. And we'll go ahead and blend it. Grate it here. Make sure you have it down tight before you start grating.
Can I sprinkle these on?
Yes, go ahead and sprinkle on the dried tomatoes. It gives a really delicious flavor. And then we'll sprinkle on our cheese.
I need some more.
And then you sprinkle on your hot peppers. Now, doesn't that cheese look like real cheese? And can you believe it? You can make it yourself. It's so much easier.
Remember, that is real cheese.
Yeah.
The other stuff's fake, right?
It's so much easier to make
real
this
vegan cheese
than to run to the store and buy some when you're out.
That's
and
true.
There's no dairy at all in it. It's just made with nuts. And it's really easy to make.
Okay.
And we'll go ahead and add our artichokes. Sprinkle on our artichokes here. And these artichokes are canned artichokes, and they're vinegar-free. And they're probably wondering what's wrong with vinegar, right?
Well, what's wrong with vinegar? Did you know it was used to etch aluminum so the paint would stick? And I figure if it does that to aluminum, what is it doing to your body? Also, we've discovered that it actually destroys B vitamins, which are important to keep your nerves calm, and vitamin C, which we need to keep our immune system built up. It also goes through the lining of your stomach, right into your bloodstream, producing like an alcohol in the blood, and fermenting your food. It's not really that good at all. And so it'd be better to use lemon juice instead of vinegar if you want that same type of effect that you would get with vinegar.
Wow, vinegar sounds pretty bad. So now you just take up the edge and you just roll it up like this. Oh, let's sprinkle on a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder. And then you can't forget your hot peppers. And then we'll just roll up the edge like this, nice and tight, and then roll up that end.
Smells so good.
That looks delicious, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then you just
pinch the edges here.
Pinch it. And you take your knife and you just go down the center. And let's see, let me turn it over a little bit. It smells good. And this bread is so delicious. You want to bake it until it doubles in, let it rise until it doubles in size for half an hour. And then bake it for 40 minutes, 40 to 45 minutes on 350 for a half an hour. And just keep your eye on it. Make sure you might want to cover it with tin foil halfway through the baking time, so that way it doesn't get too dark on top. And then when it's cut, make sure it's all the way cut all the way through. I'm trying to pull apart here.
Now, do you need a pan to put that on?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it on that one underneath.
Okay.
And then you just take it and you just twist it. And it's so good.
So you're kind of like doing a two-strand braid there. Wow, look at all those goodies.
Well, we got this braid pretty full, didn't we?
Sure looks like it. Yum.
And this recipe will double in size, so you can either cut it in half and make 2 small ones, one to eat, one to freeze, or 1 big one for a large crowd. And there you go, and it bakes really good. And
Yum.
make sure you bake it at 350 for 45 minutes.
Okay.
Now we have one more recipe we want to read off for you, and this recipe is called Tropical Fruit Twist. 1 batch of oil-free bread dough, half of a cup of walnuts chopped, half of a cup of dried pineapple diced, half of a cup of dried apricots diced, half of a cup of carob chips, non-dairy, and a half of a cup of honey.
That sounds pretty easy to remember.
So here's our dough. And you know that 1 batch of dough that we made, you can make a lot of things with it.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And you just divide it in half and roll it out into a circle. Go ahead, Audrey.
Okay.
And you can either make, with this recipe, you can either make 2 small,
Thank you, Simon.
hold it, 2 small twists or 1 large one. And if you make 2 small ones, 1 to eat, 1 to freeze.
Did you know there's a lot of damage by eating too much protein? Americans ingest from 110 to 150% more protein than we need. And I'd just like to share with you the list of the damages that come from having too much protein. Here, first of all, too much protein decreases the lifespan. It also increases cancer risks, idles the metabolic engine at a faster rate, taxes the kidneys and the liver, is toxic to the joints, arteries, nerves, and brain, has been linked to arthritis, senility, cancer, and osteoporosis, can inflame the kidneys, has been linked to nephritis, renal disease, and increasing enzyme activity, which wears out the body. Also, too much protein produces ammonia as a toxic waste, which, absorbed by the colon, increases the risk of colon cancer, and the ammonia produced also slows the growth of normal cells, whereby increasing malignant cell growth. And this was taken from Nutrition for Vegetarians on page 13, 35, and 52. So we don't want to have this too much protein in our diet, do we? And realize that we get all the protein we need in a natural vegan diet, which is using just the fruits, nuts, grains, and vegetables, and you don't have to worry about the quality of protein we get. Like some people say, well, I'm not getting a proper balance of protein. I need to have it in every single meal. Actually, your body is so smart that it knows how to pull the protein that it needs from all the different foods you eat throughout a week. As long as you get a good variety, you won't have to worry about being deficient in protein.
Okay.
Isn't that good to know?
Yes, that is.
Well, it took us forever to roll out 1 batch of dough, right?
We did 2.
Well,
really.
we just switched while you were reading off all that.
Oh, okay.
So you have 2 pieces rolled out now. That's what you need. And you want it to be a circle like pizza crust.
And to sprinkle these on, right?
Mm-hmm. And then you sprinkle on your carob chips. Oops, don't want any on the floor.
Carob chips are very good for you. They are high in calcium and aid in digestion, and they're naturally sweet. Unlike chocolate, which is naturally bitter. And so you don't need to have as much sweetener added to the carob chips as you would for the chocolate chips.
Okay, and then you want to add a little bit of honey. It's probably good. Oops. There we go. And then you put the second piece on. And Audrey, help me pinch down the sides. And then you just think of it as if you're going to cut a pie. Here, let me show you. Where's my knife? I need a knife over there. And you can also put something in the center because you don't want to go all the way through to the center.
Here, do you need something in the center? Are you
Okay. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll just punch it down. So you see you have a little circle, so you know you don't go all the way through to the center. You cut that direction, cut this direction, and then you cut like you're going to cut a pie or a pizza. And then you cut this direction. And then you do it in the center.
Of each piece?
Uh-huh. I'm going to just do one here, one over here. Oops. And then you take them and you twist them. Each piece you twist. Want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah. Twist it. Go ahead.
Okay. Just twist it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that good.
It's so pretty.
And what is this one called again?
This is called a tropical fruit twist.
Just take a look at all this bread. Yum. Here we have our little twist. We finally got it all twisted up here.
Tropical fruit twist.
And this one right here is with it already baked.
And then here's our sun-dried tornado cheese twist and our sprouted wheat bread. And we also have sprouted wheat dinner rolls. So
those turned out nice. And you have sprinkles on it. What is this? Sesame seeds and chia seeds and flax seeds.
Chia seeds and flax seeds are really good for you. Flax seeds are good for your hair.
And chia seeds is good for endurance, energy, and just really delicious.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun cooking healthful recipes in the kitchen and making bread that smells so good and tastes so delicious. We hope you have fun creating these recipes in your kitchen too. And don't get discouraged. It's a lot of fun and it's definitely worth it. Hope you'll join us again next time. Have a nice day and God bless you.